What's up, everybody? Welcome back. And today I want to know, what's your favorite scary movie? Yep, I'm doing a really late movie review of Scream 2022, the requel. Just as a fun reminder to those new to my channel, when it says the blind film critic, that means I can't see. So, yep, I'm doing it off of an iPhone because it's the easiest way for me to do this and look like I'm even remotely on camera. And if I'm not looking directly at the camera, that is why. That's why I'm not making eye contact. So, we're going to also talk about audio description in this review, kind of, sort of. It's been a few days, but I do have a couple moments where I could talk about audio description, just where it maybe threw me, either intentionally or unintentionally. It's hard to tell with horror movies because sometimes maybe they don't want to reveal something, and that was the whole point. All right. I'm also doing this in two parts. So the first part, I'm going to do a brief, completely spoiler-free review of Scream, where I don't reveal anything to anybody, and then I will give you a grade, and then I will tell you I'm about to drop some spoilers, and you have plenty of time to stop that video and get off. So, let's go. So, Scream 2022 features a new crop of characters, much like Scream 4 did, and returns a bunch of legacy characters because Ghostface is back. He's back at it again. He goes after, in the beginning sequence, he goes after a girl named Tara, and it brings back her sister Sam and her boyfriend Richie to town after she's attacked. They go visit her in the hospital, and then they meet up with Tara's group of friends, and that ends up being sort of the core group of newbies. Along the way, they decide to get help from Dewey, who ends up letting Sid and Gail know that it's happening again. And yeah, so that's pretty much the plot of Scream without spoiling. And obviously people start dying. So legacy characters, I was definitely, one of the better things about the film was that the film had attention to detail with regards to legacy characters. There's one that I feel like is super spoilery, so I can't talk about, but the other one that I was really impressed with that I don't think is a spoiler is that they actually brought back Heather Matarazzo to play Randy's sister again, which they had done for Scream 2 and Scream 3. So it was really nice to see her come back in that regard. And obviously, you know, the main three, the big three, Sydney, Gale, and Dewey. And they still had Sheriff Hicks, who had previously been in Scream 4, was back. And I missed the hell out of Kirby. I'm gonna admit that Kirby is not in this. Pay Hayden Panettiere whatever she wants next time, please. There's a reason why fans loved her so much that you guys had to reshoot Scream 4 to make sure that there was that line about how Kirby survived Scream 4. Yeah, she was such a huge fan favorite. I would have loved to see her even briefly in this movie, reminding people that she still existed. So, unfortunately, we do not get a Kirby cameo in this film. It's very sad. The film plays out with people getting knocked off one by one, and just like every Scream movie, there's a killer reveal, and the killer has motives, and those motives are dumb. But Surprisingly, that's on brand for the Scream franchise. This is still my non-spoiler version, so I can't tell you what those reasons are. But I will tell you that if you really think about the Scream franchise for a minute and you think about all of the 7 characters that have preceded these two in their killings, it's no one has good reasons. It's the Loomis family. Loomis is the only, I hate to say anybody ever has a good reason for killing, but are the only people with like legitimately like, I could see that, there could be maybe a reason. Billy blamed Sydney for breaking up his parents, Sydney's mom for breaking up his parents' marriage. And then his mom in Scream 2 obviously blamed Sydney for her son's death. So that made sense. Every other killer, including Stu, has had some dumb reason. I think ever since Stu, they've just had variations on Stu for every other killer. Everybody wants to be some sort of like weird, psycho famous, or as Emma Roberts wanted to be in Scream 4, she wanted to be the sole survivor and know what that was like and have that kind of fame that Sydney had, which Sydney wasn't a sole survivor. But anyway, so they don't have good reasons. Some of the kills are inventive and surprising, so that's good. I've heard some people say that they feel like the film is more violent than previous films. I don't necessarily know that that's the case. When you think about the fact that the first kill in Scream, the original Scream, was a guy being gutted. That I feel like that set the bar. So I don't really know. I don't think anything in here surpasses that. When Ghostface starts decapitating people and running around with like a head, then we'll talk about maybe the violence has pushed the boundaries a little too far. But that hasn't happened here. It's the same kind of stabby violence that we always get. So I love Scream movies. I can totally acknowledge the fact that this is not a good movie. It wasn't written very well. The characters are, some of them are fun. Some of them are totally forgettable. It sort of is like with Scream 3 and possibly one of those two is my least favorite in the franchise. Either this one or Scream 3. Probably this one if I had to really push myself and say probably this one. I think Scream 3 at least had a couple of fun characters. Parker Posey was really fun. But yeah, and I don't know whatever happened with the Scream 3 survivors. I guess they never come back either. Anyway, so Scream 2022 is not much of a Scream. It will surprise you a couple times if you're not prepared for it. But if you're a huge fan of Scream, somehow it feels surprisingly on brand. So it does do that. I just think it's the least interesting of the 5 films. So I would give Scream a B+. Remembering, of course, that I am already predispositioned to love the shit out of this franchise. Okay, so now that part's done, we need to talk about some spoilers, because there are some things in the film. Oh, audio description. I I think probably, yep, my audio description stuff also qualifies as spoilery. So that's why I left it for this part of the thing. Sorry if you got to get into spoilers, because my questions with audio description are spoilery. So I'll start with them though. Okay, so my problems with audio description are that there were a couple scenes. There's one where Sheriff Meeks, she's freaking out and she's running to save her son from Ghostface. And she's running up to her front door. And the way that it's described is that she just sort of drives up to her house. And she's running up to the front door. And she reaches the front door and Ghostface appears on the porch. From where? We don't know. I don't even know what the porch looks like. Is it a wraparound? Is it like a tiny little porch? Like, what kind of porch does Sheriff Hicks have? Because Ghostface, to me, an audio description materialized out of thin air. I feel like he just suddenly appeared because she doesn't get in the house because her body is clearly on the other side of the door because Wes never gets to it. The door, when he sees it, is left open and he has to go over and shut it. But it's not like he sees his mom on the other side of the door. So she's definitely on the porch. So there's some sort of substantial porch for her to be on. But I couldn't follow where Ghostface came from. It literally just seemed like he materialized in what is basically, I think, broad daylight. I think he's in broad daylight too. So does she not have neighbors? That's a big question. Although when I get into more spoilers, I feel like it could just be bad writing, and maybe that is exactly how the scene was presented. So maybe it's not an audio description thing, but it did kind of feel like he materialized out of thin air in broad daylight on a porch that I have no idea what it looks like. So the other one was Mindy. I did not track her at all. I actually had to look up what happened to Mindy on Google because I feel like at some point we just lost Mindy. I read that she's hauled out on a gurney at the end of the film, and it's like she's alive. Like they did sort of like a Kirby thing with her where I guess she survives her injuries. I didn't even realize she was that injured. I know she got attacked, but it didn't feel to me like her attack was fatal compared to all of the other attacks in the film. So I was kind of wondering what happened to Mindy in that regard, which leads me to the spoilers. All right, so the killers in this film, obviously their reason is stupid. They just want to give, a new revival for the Stab franchise. They want to help make Stab movies better by giving them material to work with, which is insane and stupid at the same time. It's like, I love Batman, but I'm not going to run around crime fighting just so that I can get more Batman movies. But the biggest problem that I have with this film is Richie. So here's the thing. And I know that I have like no subscribers and no views, but I really hope the writers from Scream hear me on this. Richie was always the wrong pick for the killer. He was a horribly written character to be the killer. The writers spent so much time and energy in making sure that he was not a killer, that he was not the killer, that the reveal of him being the killer, it's not just a betrayal. It actually doesn't make any sense. I'm actually convinced Richie didn't kill anybody. And here's why. Now, this is me pushing logic into a Scream film, but Richie is not a resident of Woodsboro. He's not from Woodsboro. It is revealed later on that he had gotten together with Amber on Reddit And that's how they knew each other. And he'd been planning this when he started dating Sam 6 months ago. So I'm not going to say he's never visited Woodsboro, but because I'm sure he had to meet up with Amber face to face before they started killing people. I'm sure that happened. But he doesn't know anybody else, and since he's supposed to be the doting boyfriend to Sam throughout most of the film, it's not like he can show people that he knows people. It's not like he can be like, oh yeah, Amber and I go way back. How? You're not even the same age range. You know, if she's a teenager, you're not. You're an adult. How would you two relate? There's nothing that connects those two characters except for the fact that they met on a message board. So they can't show that. And Richie follows Sam back to her town. So anywhere they stay is going to be Sam's place. Wherever they're staying is going to be either Sam staying at Tara's place, which probably not, because that's where the attack occurred, or they rented a hotel room. But my point is that Richie can't really go anywhere or do anything, and he couldn't pack anything, because when you're dating somebody for 6 months and you're traveling with them back to, help their little sister recover, where are you going to put your ghost face stuff? It's not exactly like he has a lot of options to put the voice modulator and ghost face costume, because she would just find it in the luggage in the hotel room or at home. It's just, there's nowhere for him to put it, and he has to also be with her at like all times. So I just don't think he killed anybody. I don't think he attacked Tara in the opening sequence, because as they pointed out, Sam and Richie do not live in or near Woodsboro and had to return to Woodsboro, to drive back to Woodsboro. So, and she hasn't been back in years. So it can't be that close. So wherever she is not within an easy sort of to have an alibi distance for Richie to go attack Tara. The second, Vince, I suppose technically anybody could have attacked him, because his kill was just so random and he was so poorly underdeveloped as a character that it didn't really matter who attacked him. But my problem is that Richie can't really leave. Where's he gonna go? Is he gonna sightsee Woodsboro? What is his excuse when he leaves Sam to go kill Vince? What is his excuse? What is he saying to Vince? What is he saying to Sam? I just really wanted to go for a run, and then he comes back and Vince mysteriously dies. What are his excuses to get away to murder somebody? So yeah, it bothered me that he wasn't with Sam at the time when Sam runs up on the Hicks house to try to suggest that, that he was there, obviously, or could have been there for the Hicks killings. But I just don't think he killed anybody. I mean, he obviously doesn't kill Dewey. That was Amber. There's actually a really strong fan theory, because of how poorly written the film is, that there's a third killer, because Ghostface was clearly shot and thrown back into broken glass, and neither Richie nor Amber had any sustained damage the next time we saw them. Were they wearing bulletproof vests? Because I think that would have been something to reveal. No, I think the writers just forgot that they shot Ghostface. And which left it now for people having a legitimate conversation online about who the third killer is, which is interesting, I suppose. I don't know who the third killer would be either, especially with how many people are left alive at the end of the film. But I don't know who that is. I don't know the answer to that question. I guess it's a character we've never met. But yeah, it obviously wasn't Richie because he was being rescued. An argument could be made that he didn't kill the cop because he had no blood on him. I don't think he scared Sam when he was in the hospital as Ghostface, because that doesn't make any sense. Because that he would have had to quick change, and where would he put the Ghostface costume? He's just sitting in a hospital room. So, like, not only would he have had to quick change, but he still wouldn't have had access to the room where we found him later, just chilling, where he's like, "Oh, Sam, are you okay?" You know, and but then again, the same thing happens with Amber. I mean, she makes the world's quickest quick change after killing Chad. It's definitely Amber that kills Chad, because she runs back inside the house because Richie's in the car, so it's obviously not Richie. Richie pulls up in the car, and the headlights shine over Ghostface, who's just killed Chad, is like still looming over the body, and then Ghostface has to like run back into the house, and all that happens is that Richie and Sam and the gang get out and go back inside Stu's house, and then like suddenly immediately like Amber's there and she's not in a Ghostface costume, and I'm like, that girl quick changes so fast. Like, did she even check to make sure she had no blood on her? It's yeah. So I think the film is poorly written, but I also don't think Richie killed anybody. I think the only person that I can confirm that Richie actually attacked is probably Mindy. I'm thinking he's the one that came up from behind Mindy when Mindy was recreating the Randy scene from the original, and attacked Mindy that way. But she survives. Everybody that we know that Richie attacked survived, but we know Amber attacked certain people, and like Chad died, you know? So and she definitely shot Liv in the head. So, I mean, Amber successfully killed people. Richie, not so much, because an argument could be made for that any of the other kills that are ambiguous were done by Amber. Even Dewey. I mean, if we're trying to say that Amber is Superman and bullets repel, it definitely wasn't Richie that killed Dewey. So, that's my spoiler section. Yeah, I think Richie was a bad choice for the killer. I just don't think it makes any sense. He wouldn't have been able to ever leave Sam. He doesn't know anybody to go anywhere. He would have had to come up with constant excuses. It's Woodsboro, which it's not like a metropolis. Like, what is he sightseeing in Woodsboro? Like, what is he doing? Is he going to the mall? Does Woodsboro have a mall? Like, what are they doing in Woodsboro? They've always presented Woodsboro as being like a sleepy town where nothing ever happens. But of course, all of these murders keep happening there. So I totally just believe, it's not that I liked him as a character. I'm not like fighting for him that way. It's just, he was just the wrong choice for the killer. So that's that. So that's my Scream spoiler talk, a little bit about the audio description. So what's your favorite scary movie? Or what's your favorite Scream movie? Why don't you hit me up in the comments and let me know what you think. Did you think the killers had a decent reveal? Is there anybody in the film that you would have kept alive or killed off? Or how do you feel about the film? Are you happy with the survivors? Would you bring them back for another sequel if there's a Scream 6? This movie did do pretty good business while still being in a pandemic. So there might very well be a Scream 6 at some point down the line. So do Sam and Tara deserve to come back for Scream 6? Did you miss Kirby? Are you still wondering what happened to Scream 3 survivors? So answer any and all of those questions in the comments below. Don't forget to like, share, and subscribe, and I will see you in the next review.
Stop recording video.